Government, the Honourable Minister of Finance.
Pursuant to Standing Order 83-1, I would like to table in both official languages the budget documents for 2025, including the Notice of Ways and Means motion. The details of the measures are contained in these documents. Pursuant to Standing Order 83-2, I am requesting that an order of the day be designated for consideration of these motions, Mr. Speaker. And with that, I will give that to the clerk. Here, here, here. Monsieur le Président, honorable député de cette...
Mr. Speaker, honourable members of this House, Canadians. The budget I present today comes at a time of profound change, a time to build.
The budget I present today comes at a time of profound change, a time to build. The world is undergoing a series of fundamental shifts at a speed, scale, and scope not seen since the fall of the Berlin Wall. The rules-based international order and the trading system that powered Canada's prosperity for decades are being reshaped, threatening our sovereignty, our prosperity, and our values. Long-standing supply chains and trade relationships that once ensured stable growth in this country from coast to coast to coast, and good job across our nation, and affordable products are being disrupted. Monsieur le Président, l'impact est...
Mr. Speaker, the impact is profound, hurting Canadian companies, affecting workers, disrupting supply chains, and causing uncertainty that holds back investment.
En fait, le niveau...
In fact, the level of uncertainty is higher than what we have seen and felt for generations. It is not a transition. Rather, it is a true generational shift. The challenges are great, but the opportunities for Canada are even greater.
Mr. Speaker, but the opportunities for Canada are even greater. Et c'est dans cet esprit que...
And in this spirit, today, I present to you Budget 2025. As a former finance minister, also from Shawinigan, so eloquently put it...
Humility, but also with confidence, Mr. Speaker. This is Canada. This budget must be generational in its ambition and serve to shape our economy and our nation's future. Il n'y a pas de place pour le retrait.
There is no place for withdrawal, ambiguity, or even standing still. Only for bold and swift action.
Bold and swift action is what is needed. To weather the storm of uncertainty, we will not lower ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Quite the opposite. We will raise them to catch the winds of economic change because we believe in Canada. Nous explorerons de...
We will explore new markets and sell more of the best of what Canada has to offer.
We will build here at home stronger industries, nation-building infrastructures, and millions of more homes for Canadians. We will protect what matters most, our people, our communities, and our sovereignty. And we will empower Canadians by making life more affordable, creating new career opportunities, and ensuring every generation can get ahead. This is how we win. This is how we keep winning, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear.
When people look back on this budget, they will be able to judge the importance of the choices that we have made. Greater autonomy is and continues to be the best approach to achieve real resilience. It is in this spirit that, through Budget 2025, we are building Canada strong. Mr. Speaker, around the world, tariffs have increased. Growth is slowing, and trade relationships are being tested. All of these constraints are being felt across the country by Canadians in their daily lives. Families are seeing this every week when they do their groceries. Renters see it when they pay their rent. Young people are sending out their resumes, but they aren't receiving any offers as a result of their efforts. In factories, in the fields, and in communities across the country, people feel the current economic challenges. Workers are facing fewer shifts, shorter hours, and in some cases, unfortunately, layoffs.
Want to grow, but uncertainty is understandably making them wait. And for many, it feels like opportunity is slipping just a little further out of reach. That's why we need to act, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these are the realities Canadian workers and their families are facing. They are doing everything they can to keep moving forward in uncertain times. And through it all, the Canadian economy has held steady. Forecasters now expect modest GDP growth of just above 1% in 2025. C'est la résilience des Canadiens et des Canadiennes.
The resilience of Canadians is earning us the respect of our foreign partners. It is this same resilience that gives me confidence in the future. This very resilience also gives Canadians confidence in the future.
Trading partner fundamentally reshapes all of its trading relationship. There are two responses, Mr. Speaker. You can slash the deficit, hope for the best, wait for the uncertainty to unexpectedly disappear, and see if it trickles down, ever comes. That approach to balance the budget this year would have to eliminate vital social programs and all the capital investments needed for Canada's future. We chose a different path, Mr. Speaker, a path that believes in Canada, a path that invests in our country's future, a path that reinforces Canadian values, a path that makes us less resilient on our trading partner, a path that allows us to be master in our own house, Mr. Speaker. We chose Canada. And I hope every member of this House will choose Canada as well, Mr. Speaker. I hope they will all choose Canada, parce que nous voulons tous et toutes être.
Because we all want to be masters of our own home, Mr. Speaker. We all believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, when our steel, aluminum, forestry, auto, and agriculture industries were hit by U.S. tariff and trade disruptions, we did not stand by and wait for the storm to pass. We stepped in with the most comprehensive set of trade resilience measures in Canadian history, because this is who we are as Canadians, Mr. Speaker. This is who we are. When times get tough, we stand together because we are Canadian. The government launched the Strategic Response Fund that my colleagues have been leading, allocating $5 billion to help sectors impacted by tariffs to adapt, to diversify, and to grow. Businesses can use the fund to invest in the design of new products, retool plants to boost productivity, or offset the cost of accessing new markets. Because we want our industry to succeed, we want them to be able to make this pivot, Mr. Speaker. Because we believe in our workers, we believe in our industry, we believe in our future, we believe in Canada. Nous avons également mis en place un programme de liquidité.
We have also introduced a $1 billion liquidity relief package to help small and medium-sized businesses, because these businesses help our great country grow and they employ millions of Canadians. So this relief package will help businesses adapt, and it will include a new skills retraining program that will benefit 50,000 workers, Mr. Speaker. We believe that Canadian workers are at the very core of our strategy.
Which are probably wondering today, we will be there to help you increase your competitiveness within the Canadian market. Pour nos travailleurs de
To our aluminum workers, we will be there to help you modernize your smelters and to open up new markets.
To our auto workers, we will fight alongside you to keep our auto plants in Canada, Mr. Speaker. To our lumber and canola producers, we know the times are hard and we are working not only to restore your market access, Mr. Speaker, but to expand it. And the recent trip of the Prime Minister in Asia was one of them. We are going to work tirelessly to expand your market. We believe in you, we believe in your industry, and we will do what it takes to make sure that you can sell your products around the world.
These strategic sectors are at the forefront of this generational change. We will ensure they are strong, resilient, and ready to lead our economic transition from dependence to resilience.
We're going to move this economy, Mr. Speaker, to be more resilient. We're going to move from reliance to resilience because we want Canada to succeed not only today, but for generations to come. We're going to move from uncertainty to prosperity, Mr. Speaker, because we understand that investing in Canada is the best way to ensure prosperity for generations to come. Le budget de 2025, Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 is our response. It is for all Canadians. It is a plan for resilience. Budget 2025 is rooted in confidence, focused on results, and designed to ensure that Canada not only weathers this storm, but emerges even stronger from it.
The words of a previous finance minister, when in 1995 he presented his budget, and he said at the time, our very way of life as Canadians is being tested. And there are times in the progress of people when fundamental choices must be made and a new course charted. For Canada, Mr. Speaker, this is one of those times. Et je dirais, Monsieur le Président, que nous...
Mr. Speaker, I would say that today we are also facing a unique moment in the history of our great country. The Prime Minister has called on our country to look beyond today's challenges and to embark on a path that will redefine Canada for generations to come. Why? Because we believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister asked each of us to focus on what we can control and to take bold, ambitious action.
In the strength of Canadians, Mr. Speaker, I have confidence in our ability as a nation to meet the moment. I have confidence that together we can build Canada, protect our way of life, and empower Canadians like never before, because we believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear.
It is interesting to note, Mr. Speaker, and all Canadians who are watching and those with us today would know, Canada has what the world needs and what the world increasingly wants, Mr. Speaker. It goes from our product to our technology to our values. Mr. Speaker, Canada is inspiring the world. We are an energy superpower in both clean and conventional energy. Nous sommes l'un des principaux.
We are among the top producers of critical minerals and a world leader in artificial intelligence.
Nous avons
We have unmatched market access, as we are the only country in the G7 with free trade agreements with every other G7 nation.
Nous avons les gens.
We have the people, we have the resources, we have the stability necessary to prosper and to compete in the new economy before us.
Ainsi,
So, Canada enters this period of transformation from a position of strength.
Speaker, the world is changing, but Canada is strong. We're going to build Canada strong together. We're going to empower Canadians, and we're going to defend our sovereignty, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have done it before. We will do it again. Canada also has the lowest net debt to GDP ratio in the G7, and the federal debt to GDP ratio will remain stable over the budget horizon. We also have one of the lowest deficits in the G7 and one of the strongest fiscal positions in the world. Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have a strong fiscal position, a strong base to work for, a strong base to invest, Mr. Speaker. And we must use this fiscal power to make generational investment because we believe in Canada. And as the managing director of the International Monetary Fund recently said, both Germany and Canada recognize that in this very testing time, they need to use their fiscal space. In the case of Canada, the Canadian authorities have been very decisive to take action in the context of changing relations with their main trading partner. Mr. Speaker, Canada is recognized on the world stage as a country with the fiscal capacity to invest, to grow its economy, to invest in its people, and to protect its sovereignty. That recognition matters because it affirms something fundamental about this country. When times are difficult, we do not retreat. We advance, we invest, Mr. Speaker, and that's what Budget 2025 is all about. Budget 2025 is a plan to catalyze investments from provinces, territories, municipalities, indigenous communities, and the private sector. With this plan, in 5 years, we will enable $1 trillion in total investment in this country, Mr. Speaker. Enable $1 trillion of investment. And I know, although the Conservatives are silent in their heart, they support that, Mr. Speaker, because I know that they will take the break week to go around and tell their constituent how great we're going to see this country and all the investment we're going to see.
Hear, hear.
And I know in their heart I can see them.
Canada is one of the best places in the world to invest, and we are going to make it even better. This fiscal strength allows us to make historic investments not only today, but also for future generations.
To Canadians who feel the strain of these times, our message is clear. We will not back down. We will be there for you now and for as long as it takes. We will do what Canadians do best in times of need. We look after one another. We help each other. That's the Canadian way. That's our way, Mr. Speaker. Pour relever ce grand
Meeting this great challenge, Mr. Speaker, requires both ambition and discipline. We need to be ambitious in our investments and rigorous in our spending. And that's why this budget charts a new course for Canada's public finances. Because Canadians expect their government to achieve results. And to get there, we must spend less on operations so we can invest more in Canada's future. First, a new capital budgeting framework, separating our day-to-day spending from the investments that build our future. This reform will allow Canadians to better understand where their money goes, and it will ensure that each dollar helps strengthen our productivity.
Mr. Speaker, we will make capital investment a national priority. Mieux budgéter.
Better budgeting also means presenting the budget at the best time. From now on, the federal budget will be presented in the fall, aligning with the construction season and better supporting provinces, municipalities, as well as contractors in the delivery of their project.
Build this country, and we have a lot to do, and we're going to do it together, Mr. Speaker. And what you see in this budget and in this Prime Minister is that we have a roadmap, Mr. Speaker, to build Canada strong. We understand that there's things we need to do on our side to make sure we can build like never before, and this is the plan to do it. Second, it's all about discipline. The Prime Minister has been clear. Canada's new government will spend less so we can invest more. Mr. Speaker, our budget puts forward $60 billion in saving over 5 years, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have been tightening their belt for quite some time, and it's only natural that we put our house in order as well. And we're going to make sure to the exercise we've done, Mr. Speaker, we found these savings, we did the hard work, we took the tough decision, but you know what? That's what Canadians expect from us. We have a strong mandate. They tell us, do what must be done. That's what we did, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to continue to do. So let me be clear. We are protecting the vital services. While we did that, Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear for all the Canadians watching at home. We are protecting the vital services that you rely on, including childcare, dental care, farmer care, because those are essential and vital for families across our nation. This is who we are as Canadians, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to remain true to our values.
And we are making responsible and pragmatic choices to reduce inefficiencies and focus government initiatives on our core priorities.
Called the Government Comprehensive Expenditure Review, we are focusing investment on initiatives that meet their objectives and complement, rather than duplicate, services delivered by other levels of government. Mr. Speaker, we have looked at how we can streamline program, how we can right-size, how can we use technology, how can we use AI with one goal in mind to provide better service to Canadians, to be more efficient, because Canadians deserve the best service from their government, and we will deliver. Mr. Speaker, we will cut red tape, we will digitize services and make them faster, simpler, and easier to access.
We are encouraging the adoption of new technologies across government, including Made in Canada sovereign AI tools, through a new digital transformation office. Because, Mr. Speaker, we understand the potential of this digital transformation, and Canada will be both a global leader in this and in service delivery.
A more effective government that can deliver smarter, faster, and more effective services to Canadians. Since 2019, the federal public service population has grown at a rate which is far greater than the Canadian population, Mr. Speaker. We must get the size of our public service back to a sustainable level that is keeping with best practices. But as we are, Mr. Speaker, we will do that with fairness and compassion because we appreciate the work of every civil servant in this country. We appreciate their service. We appreciate their work. We value their contribution to our country. And whilst we do that, Mr. Speaker, we will make our tax system fairer. Third, we need clear fiscal anchors to provide the predictability and clarity to the world and to Canadians. We will balance day-to-day operating spending with revenues by 2028, 2029, shifting the budget towards investments that grow the economy. Mr. Speaker, this is a pivotal moment in Canada's history. We're going to make sure that the dollar that people entrust in us will be invested to grow Canada. We will maintain a declining deficit to GDP ratio, ensuring that the discipline today while investing in our collective future. Les mesures proposées dans
The measures proposed in Budget 2025 put us on the right path to achieve our investment goals. Mr. Speaker, we will create a business environment that attracts an unprecedented flow of private capital into the energy, infrastructure, housing, and defense sectors. Mr. Speaker, this budget is one of investment, generational investment for this generation and future generations. Mr. Speaker, this is because we believe in Canada. Our investments will focus on our economic success and focus on productivity, because productivity means doing more with less, because that's the best way we can improve the lifestyles of Canadians. The 2025 budget will not only accelerate construction in housing and infrastructure, but across the country. It will also strengthen Canada's position as a fiscally competitive jurisdiction and one of the best places in the world to invest.
That is a great place to invest, but together with Budget 2025, we're going to make it even greater, Mr. In short, Canada is the place to be. Canada is the place to invest. Canada is the place to grow, Mr. Speaker. And we're proud to serve Canadians. Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, budgets are not about doing everything. They're about what's necessary and doing it well. We're putting forward a firm, fair, and results-driven plan, the kind of reform Canadians are asking for and the kind that's always served our country well.
Plan will invest $280 billion over 5 years in capital to strengthen Canada's productivity, competitiveness, and resilience. Wow. On a cash basis, this is an historic investment of $450 billion, Mr. Speaker, in Canada. Because we believe in Canada, we believe in Canadians, we believe in our workers, we believe in our future, Mr. Speaker.
These generational investments will drive growth in every region, Mr. Speaker, and create good middle-class jobs. The kind of jobs that allow young people and families to plan for the future with confidence.
Our generational investment will focus on 4 key priorities. Housing, to restore affordability and opportunity. Infrastructure, to connect Canadians and accelerate growth. Defense and security, to protect our sovereignty and our communities. productivity and competitiveness to lead and make Canada an innovation powerhouse, the innovation powerhouse of the 21st century. Il ne s'agit pas de...
And these are not abstract priorities. They are the foundations of a stronger, more ambitious and competitive Canada, because we believe in Canada. Mr. Speaker, our task now is to turn our fiscal strength into national purpose. For generations, together, Canadians have undertaken major projects that have connected our regions, energized our industries, and defined our identity. For more than 1 century, Mr. Speaker.
The Economy Act adopted last June continues that tradition, a very proud tradition. It removed barriers to internal trade, accelerate approvals for major projects, and strengthens the economic union that binds our province and territories together. We are completing the unfinished work of Confederation, Mr. Speaker. We are going to complete the unfinished work of Confederation, ensuring that wherever a product is made in Canada, it can be sold in Canada, where trade and opportunity flow freely across provincial lines. Mr. Speaker, this is about Canada. If you build something in one part of the country, you ought to be able to sell it across the country, because we believe in Canada. Bonne nouvelle,
Good news, our government won't stop there, but also launch the next generation of nation-building projects. Highways, airstrips, ports, electrical grids, and digital corridors will define the next century of Canadian growth. And thanks to these investments, we will connect regions, strengthen supply chains across the country, and create hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs in every region of this big country.
Structure Fund, Mr. Speaker, will expand possibilities and opportunities like never before in Canada's north, Mr. Speaker. We should all be proud as Canadian. We're going to make historic investment in Canada's north. This is a great moment for the country. And we will build infrastructure in communities all across Canada with the new Build Communities Strong Fund, Mr. Speaker. As we build million more homes, we'll need infrastructure like roads to build new neighborhoods. This fund will help build that. New neighborhoods will lead to new communities across our country that will want recreational and athletic center. This fund will help build that. Wow. And the new communities will need new hospital. This fund will help build that. This fund will build Canada strong. This fund will build our community strong. This fund will build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker. And something I'm very proud of, and I think the Prime Minister would join me in that, we will do all this by being our own best customer to the new Buy Canadian policy. It's about time that we put Canadian suppliers first.
When the government buys, Canadian suppliers will be our first choice whenever possible. Full stop. Because we believe in Canada. We will use
steel made by our workers in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie.
We will use aluminum cast in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, Bécancour, and Kitimat. And we will use softwood lumber cut in Thunder Bay, Prince George, and even in my region of Latuque.
Workers, we will support our country. We will support our industry. le Président...
Mr. Speaker, I'll give you an example. Yesterday in Saint-Tite, a small rural city in my riding, I visited Boule Boots, a family business that has been making boots since 1933. I even had the opportunity to build part of the shoes that I'm proudly wearing today with the help of many skilled workers. A reminder of the craftsmanship and pride that make the Canadian manufacturing industry so strong. Mr. Speaker, the shoes I proudly wear today are the same ones worn by RCMP officers.
I know the Conservative would wish they would have a pair too. Mr. Speaker, these shoes have been made in Canada by Canadian for Canadians. That's the way to go, Mr. Speaker. That's how you build a Canada strong. C'est tout le sens.
And that's what Buy Canadian is all about. Good jobs, resilient communities, and pride in what we're building together.
It's all about good jobs. It's all about resilient communities in our cities and in rural communities across our nation. And this is about pride in what we build, pride in Canada, pride in our workers. That's how you build a strong country. Mr. Speaker, Canada has a legacy of builders. We are a nation of builders. That same spirit of building at home has defined Canada for generations. We have done this before. Back in 1945, just after the war, Canada had to do big things. A so-called, at the time, Minister of Everything, the great CDL banked on the boundless potential of Canada to make big change in our country. He was not afraid to bet big on Canadians. Neither we are, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in Canada. This budget is guided by the strong conviction that Canada must remain a nation of builders, of infrastructure and of innovation, of trust in public institutions and hope for generations to come. This nation knows how to build. We built the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1885, allowing our country to be connected from coast to coast and supporting trade across the prairies. We built the St. Lawrence Seaway, more recently in 1959, creating a deep water route from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. Et plus récemment, nous avons construit les...
And recently, we built the James Bay Hydroelectric Facility in 1985, providing abundant clean energy to power Canadian industries and enabling Canada to become one of the world's top producers of renewable hydroelectric energy. Mr. Speaker.
Of Canada, that's why we want to build a Canada strong together. Each generation has taken on its share of the work and left the next generation stronger for it. We will do it again because we believe in Canada.
Hear, hear.
With planned investment of $115 billion in infrastructure over 5 years, we will meet the moment. That's what Canadians expect from their government. They know what's going on, they want us to meet the moment, and we'll meet that moment. And we will build the backbone of Canada's next economy. Our task is simple, but it's profound. To turn plans into projects, to turn projects into careers, and to turn careers into prosperity, Mr. Speaker. That's what we are committed to do. That's what we will do with Canadians across the nation. And to do so, we will do that in a way that protects our future, that also protects our nature, and also protect our core values. Building a true partnership with Indigenous people, whose stewardship and knowledge of the land continue to guide us today. Because we do not just build for ourselves. Because we do not build just for ourselves, we build for those who will follow us. I'm often reminded of the 7th-generation principle. Rooted in Indigenous teachings, a reminder that every decision we take must consider its impact on future generations. Mr. Speaker, we will build Canada strong, but we will build with Canadian values. Mais un pays fort, Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, a strong country invests not only in its economy, but also in its identity. Over the past year, Canadians have shown what Canada is truly made of. When global uncertainty tested us, we looked to each other. People asked where their food was grown and chose to buy from local farmers and producers. Families traveled across the country and rediscovered its beauty from coast to coast to coast. Communities rallied around Canadian businesses, creators, and workers. That, Mr. Speaker, is what it means to be Canadian. To stand up for one another, to build together, and to take pride in what we make, grow, and create here at home. That is what it means to be Canadian, Mr. Speaker, and that is why we are here to defend Canada. We are a bilingual, diverse, and compassionate country, shaped by reconciliation, equality, and respect. Mr. Speaker, we believe in a strong Canada. Mr. Speaker, our government is investing heavily to help Canadians get ahead.
I think this is something that speaks to everyone. Every young people in the country, every family around the country, everyone listening today. Canada faces a steep housing supply gap that has threatened affordability. And our minister has been doing great work to make sure we have more supply and continue to do so. We need to make sure that, Canadians across the nation can find a home. And because when they find a home, this is the best way to build their lives. And therefore, we want to be there for them. Budget 2025 is, Mr. Speaker, the most ambitious housing plan since the Second World War. This is what we're delivering for Canadians. The moment calls for it, and we are meeting the moment, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has been clear. We need to build in this country. We need to build faster. We need to build bigger. We need to build now. We need to build Canada strong. We have put in this budget record investment of $13 billion over 5 years in our flagship home building initiative, the Build Canada Homes. And I'm sure Canadians across the country understand that, because this will be making sure that we build at speed and scale that we have not seen in generations. And we will build, Mr. Speaker, we will double the pace of housing construction over the next decade while we create a new industry. When we will be using Canadian technology, Canadian workers, and Canadian lumber. We will use Canadian workers to build Canada with Canadian material. This is what we're going to do, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in Canada. And we will improve affordability and create careers in the skilled trades. Because as we build this country, Mr. Speaker, young people will see that the dream they have of home ownership will become within reach again. That's what we want to do for future generation, because you know what? Every home built is a step toward a more affordable and a more confident Canada.
Mr. Speaker, affordability isn't just about housing. It's about making life easier for Canadians and reducing everyday costs while protecting the programs families depend on. Canadians elected us to take bold action to help them improve their quality of life quickly.
And we will continue to do. The very first thing that this Prime Minister did for Canadians was to cut tax for 22 million Canadians. That is the first thing we did.
22 million.
first thing we did. And then we brought down gas prices by 18 cents per liter when we canceled the consumer carbon price.
Yes.
See, even the conservatives are cheering, Mr. Speaker. And they should be cheering about that as well because we made permanent the National School Food Program, helping 100,000 children each year. I know in the heart they support it, Mr. Speaker. Hey, Monsieur le Président.
And Mr. Speaker, we launched automatic federal benefits, reaching 5.5 million low-income Canadians to ensure that no one gets left behind. We are going to strengthen competition in the telecommunications and banking sectors in order to drive down costs.
These are practical measures that make life more affordable today and build confidence in tomorrow. Because when Canadians can afford a home, when Canadians can raise a family, when Canadians can plan for the future, our entire country grows stronger. Because
prosperity is only meaningful when it's shared and when all Canadians can see themselves in the promise of this country.
Budget is that every Canadian should feel that there's something for them. Because it's not only about today, it's about future generation. It's about building for them. It's about making sure that we'll have a very strong country for generations to come. And as the Prime Minister has said, there can be no prosperity without security. Let me repeat, there can be no prosperity without security. And Mr. Speaker, in that vein, I am sure that every member, and I will look across the aisle and I look in the eyes of every member of this House, every member in this House would agree that we do need to protect our people, our communities, and our country. Every Canadian expects every member of this House to be there for them. When it comes to security and our sovereignty, Mr. Speaker, we all should be rising and defend what we're proposing. Because, Mr. Speaker, a confident nation that protects its sovereignty at home and its interests abroad through strength, stability, and partnership with allies, we share our values. This is what we're doing, Mr. Speaker.
And with $30 billion over 5 years, Budget 2025 represents the largest defense investment in decades.
Mr. Speaker, yes, let's cheer our people. I have even more good news, Mr. Speaker. We will meet our 2% NATO commitment this year. We will modernize NORAD. We will reinforce our Arctic defense. And we will equip our brave men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces with the infrastructure and technology that they need to safeguard our nation. And we will do that because we believe in Canada. With our new Defense Investment Agency and Defense Industrial Strategy, we will build up Canada's defense industry, strengthening Canadian businesses and supporting Canadian workers and creating good union jobs, Mr. Speaker, across our country. Our work on defense will strengthen Canadian Research Centre. It will strengthen Canadian communities in the North, working with our Inuit and First Nation partners across our country by building dual-use infrastructure like ports and runways to make sure that every community, when we invest, can benefit, Mr. Speaker.
Our plan will create new jobs for engineers, technicians, and scientists in sectors like aerospace, shipbuilding, cybersecurity, and AI. We're going to hire 1,000 new Border Services officers and 1,000 new RCMP officers to secure our borders and keep our communities safe.
Enfin, en investissant
Finally, by investing in law enforcement and justice reform, we will tackle organized crime, gun violence, and auto theft.
nous allons investir
We're also going to invest and continue with passion and determination, as my colleague, the minister responsible, is doing, the important work with the provinces and territories to end gender-based violence. My colleague is working hard on that. And we are going to support her. We are going to keep supporting her.
because every Canadian should feel safe, Mr. Speaker. And I want to commend the leadership of my colleague. She's extraordinary. She knows who she is, but I cannot pronounce her name in the House. But she knows who she is because she's been there and leading the way, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that we invest and that we continue the important work across our nation. Alors que nous établissons des
As we strengthen our security partnerships, it's essential that we also deepen our economic partnerships. In order to build a stronger future, we have to increase trade, innovate faster, and play a leadership role in clean and conventional energy. Mr. Speaker, trade has always been one of Canada's strengths, connecting our population, our resources, and our industries to the rest of the world. But too much of that trade depends on a single partner.
We are launching a trade diversification strategy supported by a Trade Diversification Corridors Fund to expand Canada's reach, double our overseas export within a decade, which will unlock $300 billion in new opportunities for Canadian business and Canadian workers. This is good news if you're a small and medium-sized business. This is good news if you're an exporter. This is good news because now you see we're going to expand our market. We're going to bring what Canada has to offer to the world.
We are going to strengthen ports, railways, and ports of entry. We will reduce bottlenecks, and we will open faster routes to global markets. Because when Canadian businesses are competitive and successful abroad, Canadian workers and communities prosper right here at home.
Mr. Speaker, Canada, I think we can agree on, all of us can agree on that, is the best place to live. Canada is the best place to live. And it's the reason why top talent from around the world want to come here, because they see opportunities and possibilities to contribute to cutting-edge research in our country. With our flagship international talent attraction strategy of more than $1.7 billion, we will make sure that the best and brightest continue to choose Canada to innovate, to invent, and to grow our industry, Mr. Speaker. The best and brightest will come here in Canada. This is how you build a Canada strong, Mr. Speaker, by making a generational investment of $115 billion over 5 years in measures that will drive productivity and competitiveness. We will supercharge growth in Canada and become the strongest economy in the G7 because we believe in Canada. Let me be clear to all the Canadians watching at home tonight. Productivity is not about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about working smarter. It's about how well we mobilize ideas, how well our workers, how well we can mobilize workers, investment, and innovation to generate growth. It's what drives up the wages in our country, improves living standard, and strengthens public services, Mr. Speaker.
For too long, Canada's productivity has been lagging, a challenge we can and must overcome.
Intelligence will be the defining technology of our time. just like electricity was in the last century. L'intelligence artificielle va jouer un rôle.
AI will play a key role, along with quantum and other advanced technologies, to put Canada on a path of sustained growth.
It's the very first country in the world to have an AI national strategy and an AI quantum strategy. We know how to lead. We have some of the best researchers, and some of them have won even Nobel Prize, Mr. Speaker. We have the brain, we have the capacity, we have the will. We will lead, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in Canada. Productivity and innovation powerhouse, Mr. Speaker, through a number of measures. The first is our productivity super deduction to create the right climate for businesses to invest in new machinery, equipment, and technology. A bold expansion of projects of national interest in artificial intelligence, in clean technology, and in advanced manufacturing. We will turn Canadian innovation into industrial strength. And we will enhance tax incentives for Canadian builders to conduct research and development in this country and make it seamless for them to apply to these essential tax credits that will drive innovation and productivity. Mr. Speaker, this budget 2025 is about productivity and competitiveness. This is about a roadmap for Canada to be the place to invest. It's already great. We're going to make it greater together. Obviously, budget can seem, and numbers in budget can seem a bit abstract for people watching and wondering what it means to them. But let me make it very concrete. As I said earlier, this budget will unleash $1 trillion in total investment over the next 5 years. That would boost average wage in Canada by some $3,000 a year, Mr. Speaker. That's what it means for workers. That's what it means for families. That's what it means for Canadians. It would add $15 billion to federal revenues that can support healthcare, lower your taxes, and pay down Canada's debt. We chose Canada. We will make Canada strong because we believe in Canada. Throughout our history, Mr. Speaker, we have opened our doors to the world. We have always welcomed those fleeing the most difficult situations, those who seek to study at our world-class universities, and those willing to share their expertise and drive innovation in Canada. Those who wanted to contribute to Canada. Mr. Speaker, we are taking back control over the immigration system and putting Canada on a trajectory to bring immigration back to sustainable levels, allowing us to fulfill the promise of Canada to those who call it home. Our plan will restore control, will provide clarity and consistency to the immigration system while maintaining compassion in our choices and driving competitiveness in our economy. Notre plan va permettre d'assurer un meilleur contrôle.
Our plan will restore control over our immigration system while maintaining an approach based on our Canadian values.
Competitiveness. L'action climatique n'est pas seulement une obligation.
Climate action is more than just a moral duty. It is economically necessary. In order to foster competitiveness and growth, we must be a leader in the low-emission economy. Our climate competitiveness strategy turns Canada's natural wealth, like our critical minerals and clean energy, into lasting prosperity. Reducing our emissions is essential to protecting the competitiveness of Canada's energy sectors. We are introducing a comprehensive suite of clean economy investment tax credits, measures that are already generating billions of dollars in private capital for projects in hydrogen, carbon capture, and clean electricity.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is the place to invest, but we understand also that this is not only the right thing to do, but it's the smart thing to do. And I want to commend the work of my colleagues who have been leading the effort on that. because these investments will allow us to modernize our networks. They will allow us to have projects of national interest, and they will also make sure that we connect Canada with our electricity network. Monsieur le Président, en devenant un chiffre de fil montant.
Mr. Speaker, by becoming a global leader in clean technology and clean energy, Canada can strengthen its competitive advantage, and Canada can also help our industries thrive in the global economy.
Talk about our youth, Mr. Speaker, because our youth is the future of this nation. Nous avons au Canada les travailleurs les plus
In Canada, we have the most skilled and talented workers, as well as the most educated workforce in the world. We can all be very proud of that.
And I know my colleague joined me. We know that it's because of the talent, the expertise, the dedication of our workers that Canada wins. They are the best worker in the world. That's why you see investment. Every day they go to work. And obviously, Mr. Speaker, it's thanks to their service, their service to our nation, their talent, that we can succeed, and we will continue to work with them to make Canada the place to invest. Le budget 2025 est
Budget 2025 expands learning, training, and growth opportunities for young people.
Il crée des nouvelles
Budget 2025 creates new pathways for careers in construction, in clean energy, and in advanced manufacturing.
Il est essentiel que nous donnions.
It is essential that we give the next generation the confidence and skills needed to succeed.
Speaker, when we talk about youth and the future generation, I think every member in this House should pay attention because they are the future of our country. Through a suite of new measures, we will extend union training, extend the tax credit to personal support workers who have been doing work, and they're always there for our people and enhance labor mobility. Mr. Speaker, Canadian workers will drive Canada's economic transformation with new skills and training, and they will seize the exciting and high-paying careers and good union jobs that it will create. In the words of the Canadian Labour Congress, these measures signal a shift towards putting workers at the heart of Canada's economic strategy. We should all be proud, Mr. Speaker. Workers will always be at the heart of our economic strategy. This is how we give Canadians the tool they need to shape the future. This is how we build Canada strong. En conclusion, Monsieur le Président.
To conclude, Mr. Speaker, the budget that I am tabling today is our framework for Canada's future. It is a roadmap to prosperity and resilience.
It all comes down to a choice between two visions. One vision of resignation, a vision that would scale back the vital support Canadians rely on, make it harder for families to find a home, and leave our country more vulnerable, poorer, and dependent. And another vision, one rooted in confidence in Canadian, and in the belief that by making generational investments today, we can build lasting prosperity for tomorrow. By putting more money in people's pocket, by ensuring every Canadian can retire with dignity, by making the dream of homeownership a reality once again, by building the infrastructure our city needs to grow, by keeping our community safe for our children and our parents. That is the path we choose, Mr. Speaker. That is the path of Budget 2025.
Yes.
I see even smile on the other side, Mr. Speaker. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. Budget 2025 makes our choice clear. We choose confidence over resignation. We chose to empower Canadians to build this country together and protect what we hold dear. Monsieur le Président, il s'agit d'une question.
Mr. Speaker, this is about confidence in ourselves, in our capacity to adapt, and in the promise of this great country.
That builds, protect, and empower. It's about moving from reliance to resilience and from uncertainty to prosperity. Let's seize the moment. Let's build Canada strong because we are and will always be the true north, strong and free. Vive le Canada!
Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Calgary East. Calgary East.
Questions and comments.
Questions and comments. Questions and comments. Joliette Manawan.
The member for Joliette Manawan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Minister of Finance for his speech. It was as long as a speech by Fidel Castro would have been. Now, the minister says that this is a generational budget. When we read the budget, we see that there will be $115 billion spent on infrastructure, but then when you really get into the numbers, there won't even be $2 billion in new infrastructure spending per year, despite the fact that the deficit is incredibly high. Is this what he means by generational investment? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I have the utmost respect for my colleague. My answer is yes, of course this is a generational investment budget. I know that Quebecers are watching, and for the first time, Mr. Speaker, through our infrastructure fund, there will also be funding earmarked for health infrastructure. That's something that Quebec has asked us for. They asked us to invest in healthcare, in clinics, and in hospitals, so that every Quebecer and every Canadian can have access to modern infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. We have answered Quebec's call. We have answered the call of Quebecers. We're doing what Canadians have asked for. Mr. Speaker, our infrastructure investment plan is generational. It will make our communities stronger, and we should all be very proud of that, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Calgary East.
The Liberals have sacrificed the future of young Canadians. The deficit is a massive $80 billion this year. More inflation, higher costs. The Prime Minister...
The Honourable Member for Calgary East from the top, please.
Numbers don't lie, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals have sacrificed the future of young Canadians. The deficit is a massive $80 billion this year. More inflation, higher costs. The Prime Minister promised he would spend less and again broke his promise and is spending more. He's forcing young Canadians to sacrifice more so he can spend more. After 10 years of this Liberal government, housing costs have doubled. Food bank usage has doubled. Youth employment is the lowest it's been in 25 years. The cost on the interest of this government's debt is more than GST revenues or what goes to provinces in healthcare transfers. And today, the finance minister had a choice to make. Food prices could have came down. They could have been cheaper, but again, he refused to do this. The Liberals kept in place their industrial carbon tax, their food packaging tax, the clean fuel standard, and added $18 billion of inflationary fuel to the fire. Why did the finance minister leave in place Liberal hidden food taxes and force higher food costs on single mothers, seniors, and young Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we made a clear choice. We chose Canadian, Mr. Speaker. That is the thing. I know the budget has many pages. Maybe my colleague missed a chapter, Mr. Speaker. But let me help him because we have a bit of time. Mr. Speaker, we made the choice to invest in Canadians. We made the choice to protect and build our communities. We made the choice to invest in our young people. We made the choice to invest in our worker. We made the choice to invest in housing. We made the choice to invest in infrastructure. We made the choice to invest in productivity and competitiveness. We made the choice to invest in our defense, Mr. Speaker. And I hope that they will see and their concern will be watching. Will they make the choice to invest in Canadians as well? On this side of the House, the answer is clear, Mr. Speaker. We will take no lessons from the Conservative, but we'll take lessons from history.
L'honorable député de Richmond-Arthabasca.
The Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabasca. Mr. Speaker, Even ratings agencies are now sounding the alarm. For the first time in 30 years, do you know what, Mr. Speaker? Quebec's credit rating has been downgraded. Why? Because investment spending is beyond what Quebecers can afford. Do you know what else? This Liberal government is doing exactly the same thing, with capital spending beyond the ability of what Canadians can pay for. This government has already swiped our children's credit cards, our grandchildren's credit cards, and now even our great-grandchildren's credit cards. After 10 years of Liberal deficits, the Liberals have mortgaged the future of an entire generation. Canadians have had enough. Young people have lost hope. How long will this government continue to dig itself deeper into debt on the backs of our children to finance its inflationary spending?
L'honorable ministre des Finances.
The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, all right. Let's give them a chance to understand what we're saying. There is a difference between operating expenditures and investment, and he should be happy. Everyone should be happy that we will be investing in infrastructure. There may even be investments in health infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. The plan we are putting forward today is an investment plan. It is a generational, once-in-a-generation budget, once-in-a-generation investment. Mr. Speaker, we hope that Canadians tuning in at home understand that we need to invest in our prosperity for the future. We need to invest in our young people, in our workers, in our industries, and in Canada. We must invest in Canada because on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we believe in Canada. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Since this government has been in office, they have backtracked on all sorts of climate engagement. There's no more money for EVs. They're investing in pipeline projects, liquefied natural gas projects. They told us that we would have a climate competitiveness strategy. There's only $189 million in the budget, and only a small bit of that is for critical minerals, so there's only $4 million left for their climate strategy. Are they quite literally giving up the fight against climate change? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I understand that there's a lot of information in the budget. It's a lot for my colleague to read today. There is an entire chapter on climate competitiveness. Because, Mr. Speaker, we know that that's the right thing to do, but also the smart thing to do. My colleague will be happy to read it. I'll let him read the budget tonight. There is also investment for clean technology. On this side of the House, we know full well that we can build a strong, low-emissions economy. Mr. Speaker, this budget meets that challenge. We're here for this generation and future generations. We are investing in Canadian industry. The Honourable Member for Rosemont-La Petite Patrie. Mr. Speaker, Quebecers and Canadians are living through an unemployment crisis. There is a historic high in unemployment rates, especially for young people. Yet, this government wants to cut 40,000 public servants. Those are good unionized jobs, good jobs for Canadians with families, and the Liberals want to cut those jobs. Each of those public servants are providing services to Canadians and to Quebecers who need those services. During the election, the Prime Minister promised that he would cap the number of people employed by the public service, but not cut positions. Why is the Liberal government breaking its promise and cutting good jobs and services at a time when people need them the most? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for his question. I would like to reassure all public servants that we believe that they are doing an incredible job. Let us all applaud them. These are Canadian men and women who go to work to serve Canadians. We appreciate their work. We value their work. Mr. Speaker, our plan will bring the public service back down to a more sustainable size. We will do so in a caring and cautious way. Most of these jobs will be lost through attrition, Mr. Speaker. Tonight, families in Ottawa can sleep soundly. We're here for them. Thank you.
To Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, the last budget of 2 years ago had a fiscal anchor of a deficit of less than 1% of GDP in future years and constantly declining debt to GDP ratios in subsequent years. This budget has a fiscal anchor of deficits averaging 2% of GDP over the next number of years and a rising debt to GDP ratio. Will the Finance Minister confirm that his fiscal anchor is weaker than the last Finance Minister's fiscal anchor?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of respect for my colleague, but he might have noticed that the world has changed, Mr. Speaker, and this is a new government. And Mr. Speaker,
We have 30 seconds left. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Let me repeat that because I know they like to hear it. Canada has the strongest fiscal position in the G7, Mr. Speaker. Not only we said it, but the director of the International Monetary Fund said Canada and Germany stand out, Mr. Speaker. We have the fiscal capacity to invest. We're going to build this country. We're going to protect this nation. We're going to build Canada strong together.
Resuming debate, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I congratulate the Minister for presenting his first budget speech, but he spoke for quite some time. And given this Liberal government is adding almost $10 billion to our national debt every hour, it must be the most expensive speech in the history of this Parliament.
Minister for his first budget speech. It was a very long speech, and given that this government is adding about $10 million to our national debt every single hour, I think we can say that while talk is cheap, it's very expensive when a Liberal finance minister does it.
Every dollar that the government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians, and the more they spend, the more things cost. And that's why the Liberals doubled the cost of housing and lineups at food banks. And that's why we wanted an affordable budget for a more affordable Canada.
This government is the most expensive in Canadian history. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians. The more they spend, the more things cost. And that's why Conservatives were calling for an affordable budget, for an affordable life, after Liberals doubled the cost of housing and doubled the lineups at our food banks.
Today, the Liberals have introduced the most costly deficit in the history of our country outside of COVID. It will generate higher costs for groceries, housing, and for everything else.
The Liberals have introduced the most costly and largest budget deficit in history outside of COVID. The cost of this Liberal budget will drive up the cost of food, housing, and everything else that Canadians buy. And the Prime Minister has broken every single promise he made just 7 short months ago. He promised a $62 billion deficit. He delivered nearly an $80 billion deficit, $16 billion bigger than he promised and twice the size that his predecessor left behind. He promised to lower the debt to GDP ratio. He raised it, and inflation along with it. He promised to spend less. He's spending $90 billion more, costing $5,400 per family in Canada. And that $90 billion, to the Prime Minister's heckles, is above and beyond the promised $16 billion that he says he will one day find. And if he doesn't find them, it will be over $100 billion in brand new spending to respond to the Prime Minister's heckles, Mr. Speaker. He also promised that he would invest more. His own budget document lays out a graph showing that every quarter of this year will see private sector business investment collapse. This costly budget forces Canadians to spend more on debt interest than on health care transfers. More than the government collects in GST. That means every dollar the Canadians pay in GST will go to bankers and bondholders instead of to doctors and nurses. All while he raises the industrial carbon tax on farm equipment and fertilizer and therefore food, on steel, concrete, and other industrial projects needed to build homes, a big tax increases on homes and food.
So, on behalf of Canadians who are already paying too much for the cost of this Liberal government to heat themselves, house themselves, and feed themselves, Conservatives will not be able to support this budget.
Instead, our party wanted an affordable budget for an affordable life. And on behalf of all the Canadians who can no longer afford to eat, heat, or house themselves because of Liberal inflation, we Conservatives cannot support this costly Liberal budget. But there is still time for the Prime Minister to do the right thing. We will put forward an amendment that will transform this policy by making Canada affordable again. It will get rid of the industrial carbon tax, cut the wasteful spending to bring down debt, inflation, and taxes. It will open our country up to opportunity by developing our prodigious resources, clear away bureaucracy to build affordable homes.
We want the Prime Minister to accept our amendment to make life more affordable for Canadians, to make their paychecks stronger and our economy more independent. That's the approach we're going to propose. We're proposing an economy that's more affordable for our young people, that is safer for our seniors, and that protects Canada's promise for everyone who works hard.
Full future. For our young people, we want homes, jobs, and hope. For our seniors, we want affordability. And we want for all Canadians who work hard to bring back the promise of Canada. Thank you very much. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move, second by the member for Edmonton Gateway, that the debate be now adjourned. Thank you.
Mr. Poilievre, seconded by Mr. Upal, moves that the debate be now adjourned. Pursuant to Standing Order 83-2, the motion is deemed adopted and the House stands adjourned until tomorrow at 2 p.m. pursuant to Standing Order 24-1. Thank you.
Casey won the first one, but he wasn't going to win the next one. So he decided to dedicate back. I always say, like Joey Wilson Reagan, you would win the first one as a sport, but you're not going to win the second. It depends. I like the steak tips. That's my favorite. Because I'm cheap. It's also less expensive than the first. You know what? Doug, maybe see you later. Who are we waiting for? Carney?
I'm waiting for Frankie Bubbles.
Oh, is he coming up? No, not just OTU or Yeah. Yeah, of course. He's waiting. Thank you. A couple of minutes. Okay.
So tell him the shows are back in office. I'm ready to go on.
Yes, I just need to see my family for 1 second. I can't just stay out with my family.
Oh boy.
Yes, Stevie.
Can they meet us downstairs?
Yeah. I'll pay to meet my family. Yeah, I know. Take my phone.
No, but find the phone.
That's a bigger sign.
To say that you're in the background saying
Nothing of value. It's actually just gone. Gotten it.
who's coming up? Hein? Aqui? Quer dizer? Parce qu'elle était avec l'autre le gars du travail, le noir. Là. Okay, Ray?
Oui, nous fermons pool. Closing the pool, merci.
Shut down.
I know.
Make up my mind.
I was late to.
that also has a very strong industry. You have to be mindful the impact of that. But really, the answer to that is very simple. It was costing more to administer than the tax revenue. So I'm very pragmatic.
Next question on the right.
How are you doing, madam?
Good afternoon, Minister. Thank you for taking our questions today. Because you mentioned this is an investment budget, and we've spoken to some economists in the room. They were of the view that they were hoping to see more substantial measures on the tax side of things for businesses. We have the accelerated investment incentive, which was a policy that we have used in the past. So they were hoping to see more on the tax front. I wonder, how would you address that?
Well, it's good that there were economists in the room in the lockup, because I'm sure they would understand what we're trying to achieve. I mean, with the productivity super deduction, I mean, this is a game changer. I mean, you're making Canada, the most competitive jurisdiction for investment. This is great. And if you look also, now I'm going to get into the detail, I may lose some people with that, but if you look also at the chart of what we call the meter, which is the marginal effective tax rate, Canada is actually lower than the United States now. So this is a great message for investors, because we know that many businesses would have assets and investments on both sides of the border. And one of the things we need to do always is to see how we can remain competitive with our largest trading partner. And actually today, well, when I tabled the budget, the effective tax rate for investment in Canada will be lower than the United States. And what we have put, and that's why I was saying it's good news for small businesses across the country, because you also have what we called these accelerated cost of capital allowance deductions. So in a way, what you're saying is that you're going to be able to immediately expense what you've invested in technology, in equipment, in plant, in machinery, in patents, and in manufacturing buildings. So if you look at the legislation that was passed by the U.S. administration recently in Canada, and actually we did the work, you compare that, you see Canada is more competitive. That's the kind of, we want to supercharge investment in this country. And that's why not only the super deduction is doing, but if you look also about the investment tax credits that we've done for clean electricity, for hydrogen, for clean manufacturing, I mean, you look at the measures taken together and you start saying, wow, this is really a suite of measures that will supercharge the economy. And that's really what we wanted to do, because it is one thing for the federal government to do its part, but you want also to allow for other jurisdiction and private investment to come, because when we say that our investment in the budget, you've seen that, will enable $1 trillion of investment, is you have to think, if you're doing a mine, for example, you have the first and last mile fund in the budget. Well, if you're enabling a mine to start, you will also have investment likely by the province or the territory. You probably would have a community that's going to invest as well, because you're going to build it out. And you have the private sector investment. So we've been trying to be very strategic, very smart in using our balance sheet and say, how can I enable more? And that's why I say this is an investment budget. And again, if you look at the table of the multiplier, and I keep coming back to the International Monetary Fund, but the economists in the room would appreciate, when you look at what they say where G7 countries should invest, and you rank Canada, you get to AAA. Because we're investing in all the places that they say this is the way to do if you want to grow your economy, be more competitive, and be more prosper. And that's the shift we needed to do in this country. So we spend less so we can invest more. That's kind of the shift. That's why I say this is a generational shift, because there are some headwinds. People feel it at home every day. We have the fiscal capacity. So you say, okay, let's use that smartly. Then you say you make generational investments. But to enable the generational investment, you need to spend less. And that's, the savings of $60 billion that we have been able to identify.
Thank you for your answer. And a follow-up. On a different note, the immigration levels plan for future years shows that the international student visas will be cut in half, almost. So I just wanted to understand how the government expects universities and colleges to stay afloat financially in the face of much lower international student intake.
So yes, we're bringing our immigration level to more sustainable level. I think Canadians understand that we had reached our capacity or sometimes even exceeded our capacity to welcome. I always say if you welcome people in your country, you have a duty to allow them to be able to find a place to live, to go to school, or to get service in the hospital. That's kind of, you let people in, you have to be able to do that. I think what we're saying, we're bringing that to more sustainable level. But if you look in the budget, there's also a section about attracting international talent, the best and the brightest in the world. We're investing close to $1.7 billion to attract some of the best and brightest so that they can come in our research center, help grow our industries, and build the technology of the future. And that even applies to H-1B1 visa holders. So on one end, you're saying, yes, we're getting back to sustainable level. On the other end, we're really focusing on attracting the best and brightest, because in many ways, when you go to the research centers in our country, and I've been to a number of them when I was industry minister, you see young people from around the world. Canada is a magnet for talent, and we want to keep it that way, but we want to be very targeted in how we do that.
Mike?
Mike Couture with CTV News. The deficit is at $78.3 billion this year. It's higher than previous projections. So how do you call this a fiscally responsible budget?
Well, it's well within the range that people had expected, and people also understand that 75% of what we recorded this year, you would have seen that at the very beginning, was to defend our sovereignty and offer Canadians measure amount of affordability. I think that when you look at that, no one would probably question the fact that when it's true that 85% of our trade is tariff-free, it's true that we probably have the best deal when you look at the 5.4% on average. But if you're a worker in Oshawa or in Windsor, or even in my home community of Latsuk in the softwood lumber, or if you're a canola producer out west, you've been disproportionately impacted. So that's why we had to respond. The $5 billion Strategic Response Fund is one of the answer. What we've done with employment insurance is one of the answer. Retooling, reskilling is one of the answer. We need to pivot a number of industries. And I would say in that, Mike, Canada is not unique in that. And that's why I keep coming back that, international institutions have said that countries which have the capacity and have the fiscal health, let me call fiscal health, should use their balance sheet to pivot. Because one way is just to, you look at what happened and you say, well, obviously we need to support workers. Obviously we need to pivot. Obviously we need to fight for auto industry in this country. And at the same time, the best way, we need to be less reliant on one market. So you need to invest in your trade corridor. You need to invest in the skill of your people. And you need to invest also to make life more affordable. So all in all, I think Canadians would understand 75% of it is really the headwind that we have faced, but Canada is not unique in that. The world has faced it, and you see it with global growth, which has been readjusted lower.
I want to follow up on my colleague's question about the emissions cap. When do you expect the conditions to be in place for you to lift the emissions cap?
Well, there's a number of things in that. There's technology, like I said. There's regulations around methane. There's a number of steps that need to happen, and when the conditions are met, we won't need the cap anymore, but the conditions would have to be met.
Next question.
Steve.
How are you? I'm impressed.
I kind of miss you.
I'm right
here.
No,
because he followed me when I was Foreign Affairs Minister everywhere.
I'm impressed you make your own shoes. I'm looking for size 10.5 if you've got something, maybe
you get
brown.
$25 reduction if I make them.
I wanted to ask you about defense spending and the commitment we made at NATO to boost it to 3.5% of GDP. We know that you reached 2%. In June, you put $9 billion more into the defense budget, and you reached 2%. But then you've poured $75 billion more into defense spending in this budget for a total of like $84 billion. What I'm asking you is, how much closer has this brought us to 3.5%? We're obviously not at 2 anymore. You're boosting us above 2. Where are we now?
Well, what I can say is that the budget will allow us to meet our target, but in the 1.5, now we're getting very technical for people who listen to us, but you will know that in the 1.5% you have these assets which are enabling dual-use assets. I think for Canada, this is going to be a way for us to build the infrastructure in the north that the northern communities will welcome, because Canada when you look at that, we have a deficit of infrastructure in a number of places, in the north in particular, when you're looking at, how you protect Canada, which a lot of the discussion, as you know, at NATO has been around the north and how we can better do that. One thing I can tell you, yes, we're going to make the defense investment that are needed to reach our NATO target, but we're going to be smart. We're going to be smart, and that needs to be also a lever for the Canadian economy, create jobs here, Canadian industry, and at the same time, for communities in the north, this is a good news for communities, because if we're going to build runways, we're going to build port, if we're going to build installation, that needs to serve the communities. You will have seen in the budget, there's a section about how we provide, for example, health services in the north, and having a discussion to say, for example, if we're going to put a forward base in the community, should we not look at how there could be a clinic as well to serve the local community? How can we do better? I think my point is that the defense investment is more than just hardware and software. It's using that in research and development. You've seen the Borealis initiative. You've seen the defense industrial strategy, how we can favor Canadian suppliers, how we can make Canadian industry prosper. And I've said in other settings, you may not have been with me at that one, but I said that every company in the country should basically have a defense strategy, because there'll be significant investments made over the coming years, not just us, but the G7, the NATO countries. And you've seen that already, where companies, even the shoes that I wear, just to give you an example, they've been in business since 1933. They've made the Army Cadet shoes, they've made military shoes. So it's kind of, you do one thing, but at the same time, you can pivot and do something else. And I think we need to make sure that our defense investments serve first and foremost Canadians. And that's what we're going to do.
Sure. A follow-up is what you're expecting from the private sector. You're spending, I think, about $280 billion over 5 years. You're hoping to catalyze $1 trillion of investment from the private sector. Are you asking too much? Are you pinning too much of your hopes in the private sector? Your boss famously, when he was central banker, complained about lazy corporate capitalists in Canada, about dead money. Are you pinning too much hope on the private sector, expecting $1 trillion of investment from them?
You know what? I have confidence in Canada. I have confidence in Canadians. I have confidence in our businesses. I have confidence in the promise of Canada. I have confidence that if we put the right measures in place, capital will flow. The economy will grow. People will find jobs, and we're all going to be better off. I believe in Canada, and I believe that what this nation needed was a pivot. Was the pivot, because this is a generational shift. Like I said, you have to go back almost to, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and if you want, you can even go further, 1945, where the speed, scale, and scope of change, and it's not just me, Steve, because you would be with me at the G7, which we happen to preside as Canada. Colleagues around the table would probably acknowledge the same thing, is that the speed, scale, and scope of what's happening in the world is quite unprecedented. So how do you pivot in this new world in order to prosper? And I think Canada's making the right pivot, and that's why we were singled out in these meetings to say, you may have even seen, I think the French finance minister, Roland Lescure, said, they're going to look at what Canada is doing, because people see that Canada gets it. And that's why I'm confident in Canada. And that's why I hope that people who are watching at home and listening, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. These investments will make sure that Canada will prosper in this very different world economic order. Merci.
Final question, Najud.
Bonjour.
Hello, hi, Minister. Is the government still committed to the tax review that it promised during the campaign? And given the changes that you announced in the budget today, do you think corporate taxes are sufficiently competitive in Canada now, or do you expect to have to make more changes?
Well, I would say we're now the marginal effective tax rate, which is the famous meter. You'll see the table in the budget, makes Canada certainly more competitive than the United States in many respects, and probably one of the most competitive country in the OECD. So this is a good start, because, I always say we always need to benchmark what we do with best practices in the world. We're going to make this country more competitive, and by being competitive, that's how you attract the investments that you want in order to grow the economy. To your question, We've also closed a number of loopholes. You saw that we're going to look at transfer pricing. There's more to do on the tax gap. So, there's so much I can do within a few months. Give me a bit more time, and we'll certainly try, as we always do, to say, my mission is always to compare with best practices. What other G7 countries are? Look about the automatic tax filing. This is something they do, for example, in Nordic countries. We look at what they're doing. We say that's very smart. For people at low income, they are entitled to these benefits, and sometimes they don't even file. So we said, why don't we make it for them? So my vision and my mission is to look at all these things to make sure that Canada is competitive. And by being competitive, that's how we attract investment. And that's the journey we're going to be on as a country.
On climate policy, the government is really making industrial carbon pricing its central policy to try to reduce emissions. But the Conservatives are obviously have been attacking this policy now, similar to the consumer carbon tax. And you may come under pressure from tariff-hit industries like steel and aluminum about facing the industrial carbon price. So I'm wondering, how committed is this government? How sure is it that it will be able to stick behind one price and not cave to calls for carve-outs?
Well, we've been expanding on that to provide. I think what we need to provide to the investor, the private sector, and people who want to invest is stability and predictability. And that's what people want. That's why the contract for differences. That's why everything you've seen in the budget with respect to providing the benchmark for, looking at the benchmark, making sure that the rules are clear. I think what investors are asking from us is to be clear, to be consistent, and to be forward-looking. And that's what we aim to provide to investors so that we can see these investments in the country.
Allez-vous aller en campagne électorale avec ce budget?
Are you willing to go into an election campaign on this budget? This is the last question, but why not? It's always a pleasure to answer all of your questions because I have to make a speech in the House. But what I would say is the following. All political parties will find something for them in the budget. You've read it, be it generational investments in affordable housing, for example, be it the new health infrastructure fund. Now, Canadians won't be patient with parties that try to make political hay out this, be it the NDP, the Bloc, or the Conservatives. I think we're facing a generational moment in our history. All political parties have something for them in this budget and what we're doing. And I think they'll have to really think hard about their position because Canadians see themselves reflected in this budget. Workers, our armed forces, everyone. There's something for everyone. And I think that it's up to parties to make a responsible choice. Thank you. See you later. Hello, everyone. Well, look. It's pretty easy to summarize this budget. The Bloc has made demands. Those demands were set out as red lines for our support of the budget, and they're not included in Mr. Champagne's budget or Mr. Carney's budget, which I'm sure had a leading hand in writing this budget. There's an ongoing legacy of discrimination against seniors, retirees of 70 to 75 or 60 to 75 will continue to receive an OAS check. All those over 75 will not. On all associations that represent seniors say that this doesn't make sense. The government is racking up a deficit of $78 billion, isn't taking the trouble to deal with an injustice, even if in general terms is turning their back on the Trudeau culture and legacy. It's still the same government, nevertheless, that the Bloc's demands on healthcare transfers to make sure that annual increases cover the cost of the system paid for by all Canadians and Quebecers. This is another refusal by the Canadian government. Year over year, the Quebec government will not be able to cover the cost of an increasing cost of healthcare in Quebec, and this is true elsewhere in the country as well. In terms of infrastructure now, there 105 billion, 9 billion is a new money, only 9 billion over 5 years. What can you do with 9 billion over 5 years when there are huge needs across the country and in Quebec alone, in fact, so this announcement is not a serious one. In addition to that, the lack of detail and the overall opaqueness, not only the whole budget of the measures on infrastructure, for example, it stinks of interference in Quebec jurisdiction, access to property. I'm thinking about our young families here. We asked the government for a program to a loan guarantee to facilitate access to a down payment for a first home for young households. This was refused by the Champagne Carney government, and the housing fund, it does not set out the fact that Quebec's share will be paid to Quebec without strings attached. At the end of the day, we should remember that Mr. Carney, 1 week before the election, made a gift of $4 billion for a carbon tax. Though no one had actually paid that. That was a gift he made before the election. We would ask the government to pay back Quebec's share, $800 million. So this is not part of the budget either. So the Bloc's demands have not been met, and as a result, you know what will happen. I'd like to mention, however, that despite the current fashion to pretend that climate change doesn't exist and that it doesn't cost billions of dollars to Quebecers every year to adapt to climate change and to repair the damage of climate change, you only have to think of floods, erosion, and fires. The total amount of money set aside for the climate is $4 million. Make no mistake about it. We're not talking about $4 billion. We're talking about $4 million. The rest of that money will go to critical minerals, which will be provided to polluting industries. In addition, tax credits, which meant that over 10 years that the Canadian government provided $8 billion a year to big oil and gas, has been extended until 2040. No one in the on the Liberal benches really thinks that climate change is being taken seriously. This is going to have to be paid at one point. The tab will have to be paid. The Liberals think that climate change doesn't exist, and they've decided not to invest in this. Now, of course, the deficit. That brings me to the deficit, saying that it's creative and does not pay. It does not do justice to the smokescreen that's being drawn here. We're talking about a deficit of $78 billion, period. The government says that $45 billion of the $78 billion are in investments. Ask any accountant, ask any business that might have to pay more in EI payments. Ask any accountant if an investment is not supported by assets. The government provides tax credits and counts them as assets. It doesn't add up. Everything is being put in assets till the government can say it's investment. It's not investment in social terms. It's not investments in young people. It's an investment which is supposed to be based on something you acquire, an asset, something that belongs to you, something that you can put on your balance sheet. There's nothing like that in the budget that justifies this amount. It's a normal, flat, run-of-the-mill deficit, but much bigger this time, $78 billion. And don't make no mistake about it, you won't receive a check for this, but you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pick up the tab. Canadian citizens and Quebec citizens will have to pay for that deficit at the end of the day. If it had had a major impact on our ability to adapt to the new reality, well, that would be one thing. But the amounts invested are not huge, but it's not based on the size of the challenge. So this deficit is being added to the list of failures of Mr. Carney. It's added to others like trade. The concessions were made and tariffs were raised. So this is of great concern. And the possible spin-offs of infrastructure projects that the government is talking about cannot be calculated in the short term. Spades won't be in the ground before Mr. Trump is no longer president of the U.S. So what we're doing is digging a huge hole, and we don't have a ladder to get out. As I was saying several weeks ago, at that time we were talking about an $82 billion deficit. I don't see how we can vote for this. It's not possible. I'll see with my caucus tonight. I'm not saying there's nothing that isn't interesting in this budget. There are some things, some minor things which are good news for regional institutions, but overall, from a Quebec or a Canadian point of view, there's nothing in this budget really that reassures people who are wondering whether will there be anything else than an orgy of spending, liberal spending? I don't think so. All this is done under a smokescreen, so I can't help but say that the Carney government is flirting dangerously with a cover-up, with a smokescreen. We heard today that the Liberals are trying to convince the Conservatives to cross the floor and to join the Liberals. Chris Otomont has said openly he's thinking about that. And do you think that the efforts taken by this government to do that really show their lack of ability to negotiate? This budget is a Conservative budget, basically. That's what it is. The budget that's just been tabled could have been signed by Stephen Harper, in fact. Conservative members who are perhaps unhappy in their caucus are thinking about crossing the floor to the Red Conservatives. That's not out with the realms of possibility. It doesn't resolve the issue that this government is facing, however. Over the past 2 days, the Minister of Finance has been saying Canadians have given us a strong mandate. No, they didn't. Canadians elected and Quebecers elected a Liberal minority government, and I've told it time and time again that it's supposed to cooperate, and before it makes announcements, before it makes decisions on tariffs and trade, they're supposed to talk to us and consult us, and the House of Commons is working alone currently, and it's behaving as a very, very conservative government, and it hopes that they'll be able to attract people from the Conservative Party. You met with Mr. Carney. You said it was a very friendly meeting. Do you feel that he really listened to you, and do you think that there's room for negotiation, for discussions? Well, the budget's been tabled, hasn't it? I did, in fact, meet several government ministers, but only late in the day. The budget was already pretty much complete when that took place. And we'll debate the budget tomorrow, and perhaps the Minister of Finance should have been in Ottawa to buy his shoes and work on his budget rather than going to Shawinigan. But there's a lot of grey zones in this dark corners of this budget which are of great concern about what happens next in our capacity. So it really shows that when we met and we talked about various issues, I talked about retirement, pensions, I even did calculations. I said this is how much it would cost over so many years. This is the difference that healthcare transfers would make over 5 years. We costed all our demands, so the government would understand that the Quebec share of demands were less than the $2 billion that he gave to Doug Ford last week. Unfortunately, it's a pretty open rejection of our demands, because even what might have made its way into the budget is not in any shape or form. On immigration, there are immigration targets. What do you think of these immigration targets? What do you think about foreign students, for example? A significant decrease in there. Well, I think that we're not talking about the budget, but as part of the budget on immigration, which struck me, the Quebec government has been asking for 500 million to cover asylum seeker costs. The number of asylum seekers is double our demographic or population weight. By turning down the demand from the Quebec government for $700 million rather to pay for services for asylum seekers, well, that shows that Quebecers are spending twice as much than other Canadians to take in these asylum seekers. It doesn't mean that we don't want to take anybody, but we're asking the Canadian government to pick up the tab for their policies on asylum seekers, foreign students. That's a different kettle of fish, and temporary foreign workers, that's another debate that we're talking about currently, because these are specific issues.
On this budget, can you explain why?
You have a very good perspective on things. Where did you get that? I hardly see how, after having met with our caucus tonight, we could vote in favor of this budget. Those $78 billion of deficit, whatever tricks they want to invent, there's nothing of what we did ask in the budget. And I must tell you that what the Bloc Québécois asked in order to maybe support the budget about elders, about healthcare transfers, about what we did ask, but one thing that was not given to Quebecers and given to everybody else would have been good for all Canadians, not only Quebecers. Still, the answer is no. This is a red conservative budget, which Mr. Harper might have signed. And there's nothing for Quebecers in there. Absolutely nothing. We did ask what was basically the object of a large consensus within the population of Quebec. And the answer from a Quebecer, Mr. Champagne, is blunt, no.
Do you know if the Liberals are trying to approach anyone from your party to cross the floor?
I'd be quite surprised. We are about as close to Liberals as Quebec is from New Zealand. It's the other side of the world.
Monsieur Blanchet, les députés bloquistes vont-ils...
Mr. Blanquet, will bloc members remain bloc members? Are they being courted by the Liberals as the Conservatives are? Well, I feel like telling you that you're going to be very disappointed if you would imagine any bloc members might go turn red. No bloc members will all vote the same way. When it comes time to vote on the budget, I have no doubt about that we'll all vote against the budget. We understand what the Liberals have done. They didn't draft a budget for Quebecers, but for the Conservatives, the idea of a majority Carney government, how do you see that if we're able to attract enough Conservative members? While I was an MNA, when some PQ members crossed the floor to the CAQ, or you were elected based on a party manifesto. You can't then say, well, I'll use that vote to do exactly the opposite. It's immoral. It's immoral to cross the floor, so I can't support that. Do I understand that people feel uncomfortable in the Conservative caucus? Well, I would be very, very uncomfortable myself if I was there, of course. But crossing the floor is something that should be made illegal even. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Well, today we have the first budget at the federal level in 18 months, and I want to contextualize it a little bit. Canadians are facing serious economic pressures from coast to coast to coast. We have skyrocketing prices in groceries and rent, and housing as an ownership proposition is simply out of the question for too many people. We have unemployment at 10-year highs, particularly hard for young people, where 1 in 6 young people is out of work, and many more than that are underemployed. Economic growth is weak, and of course we face serious problems from south of the border. So it is in that context that we're evaluating this budget today. I can tell you that New Democrats are going to take the time to study this budget. We're going to consult with stakeholders. We're going to talk to Canadians, particularly working Canadians, and review this budget to see if this budget passes our lens of whether it works for working Canadians. So I'll happy to take any questions you may have.
Is this an austerity budget?
It's hard to tell at this point. You know, what I'll say is it's got a very large deficit. Spending is up in many ways. There are, you know, some record investments, but it also is, you know, cutting public services that Canadians need. So this is something that we'll be taking a very close look at.
It's still early, but
Will you be whipping your caucus on a vote, or will this be a free vote?
You know, traditionally on confidence measures, parties vote along party lines. So that's the tradition of our party. I wouldn't expect it to be any different.
it's still early, but was there any red line there in the budget so
Pardon
far
me?
that you've seen that it disqualifies you? Like, I know it's still early stages, but it seems like you're saying we need time to digest it, so there isn't an immediate red line that you said that would disqualify you guys from supporting it.
That's an excellent question. And one of the reasons I opened up with the serious problems we're facing is that there's complex issues that are facing us, and I don't think that we can oversimplify whether policies are going to respond or not. So I'll tell you a few things that we like about the budget. There's $51 billion in infrastructure spending, and that's linked to unionized jobs or community benefit agreements, which requires that work to be done through wage prevailing rates. So that could create good family-sustaining jobs, which has been a priority for the NDP. We talked about, campaigned on, an east-west clean electricity grid. That's mentioned on page 1 of the budget. And there's a specific mention of co-op housing, something that is near and dear to New Democrat hearts and something that we push for all the time. Some of you, none of you look old enough, but the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation was our predecessor, so co-ops are built into the DNA of the NDP. That's in there. On the negative side, you have 40,000 public sector job cuts. And when you have a jobs crisis, cutting union, family-sustaining, good jobs is the opposite direction of where we want to go. And we have to remember, behind every job is a service. Do Canadians really want to wait 6 months to get a passport? You want to wait 3 months to get a call back from CRA? The seniors want to wait to get their old age security checks? These are the kind of real-life consequences of cutting public sector workers there are. I would also point out that Mr. Carney promised Canadians during the election that he would cap the public sector, not cut it. Second, you know, they canceled the unused housing tax, which was a measure to stop particularly foreign investors from buying housing in Canada and leaving them vacant. So by taxing it, it was driving those units into the housing supply, providing homes for people. Inexplicably, this government has removed that tax, meaning that we're going to go in the opposite direction, and you'll see those housing units taken out of the housing supply. We think that's wrong as well. And there's no digital services tax. You know, this was a measure that the Liberals themselves invented 5 years ago, worked on. It would raise $1 billion a year in revenue, taxing the biggest U.S. tech companies in the world. We're talking Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, on profits over $20 million in Canada. Now, if you have a revenue problem in Canada and you have to cut public services, or you could tax the wealthiest people on the planet, NDP thinks that it would have been a wiser choice to tax those people. So you see there's positive and negatives in this budget, and we're going to take a comprehensive look and weigh it out in the aggregate over the next few days.
A lot less harsh than any of the other opposition parties, I gotta say. Are you telegraphing you guys are going to vote for this budget, or just be absent on budget vote day?
No, we're just more rational maybe than the other parties are. You know, we're not telegraphing anything. I'm a Jack Layton, New Democrat. We came to Parliament to make Parliament work. We want to be propositional, and we want to give this budget the serious once-over that it deserves. And we want to consult with Canadians.
So I think that's what a responsible opposition party does, and that's what we're doing.
You didn't answer my colleague's question earlier. Will you whip your caucus? Just not what's your expectation of how caucus will vote. Will you whip each member of your caucus and force them to vote the same way?
Well, I'm not going to anticipate what we're going to do. We're going to have a caucus meeting tomorrow morning, and we're going to be reviewing each of our critic areas, and we're going to have a very, very thorough discussion, and hopefully we arrive at a consensus. That's always what we try to do in caucus. At the end of the day, we need to move as a united party. That's what you do on confidence measures. You don't vote at cross purposes. You can't have people voting yes and no. Generally, I don't remember ever a free vote on a confidence measure in my 17 years on the Hill, but all options are on the table, I suppose.
Are you maintaining that abstention would be an option? It would be authorized for NDP MPs to abstain during that vote, or following the lines of the party would be to cast a vote?
Yeah, well, so the tradition in our party is that we caucus together and we vote as one unit on confidence measures. But it's also part of our tradition history that sometimes members, for various reasons, can't vote the way that the caucus wants. So instead of voting opposite of caucus, they are permitted, with whip's approval, to abstain from the vote. So that's also a possibility.
Some of the polling out there is showing the NDP on the rise as the only clear voice for workers amidst a national climate of labor unrest. How are you feeling potentially heading into a Christmas election? Would you feel confident?
Well, I think our message is getting through. New Democrats and I in particular, since I was appointed leader in May, have made it my number one priority to reconnect with the working class in this country. And I've been dogged on that. We want to be the voice of working people. It's why our party was formed in 1961. By working people, for working people. That is our explicit raison d'etre. And I'm glad to see that message is getting through, and I think that trend will continue.
What do you make of the climate competitive strategy? Do you see it as a negative sign that the Carney government has yet to condemn Alberta for using the notwithstanding clause to force 51,000 striking teachers back to work?
Well, we're the party of labor, and I don't like or support any government ordering legally striking workers back to work. And it's been I think, a very, very discouraging and frankly, inappropriate act by the Carney government Liberals to continue to force legally striking workers back to work when it's their constitutional right to strike. So, yeah, I think Mr. Carney's acting to type. They ordered postal workers back to work, rail workers back to work, port workers back to work, flight attendants back to work, who are legally on strike. So ordering teachers back to work, when the Conservative Premier of Alberta does it, it's wrong. When Mr. Carney does it, it's wrong. And I would say if Canadians want a government that respects workers' charter rights to strike, they should vote NDP.
Just at first glance, what did you make of the climate competitiveness strategy?
I haven't had a chance to really study it yet in any real detail. But that's something that we're interested in. We want to know what this budget's impact is on the climate crisis. I will note that Mr. Carney is not the Prime Minister who wrote values, I'll tell you. He was an enlightened capitalist in that book who claimed to understand the climate crisis. But ever since he's been elected Prime Minister, I've seen nothing but regressive moves on the climate. Whether it's, he canceled the carbon tax, then he weakened the EV moratorium. Then he started questioning whether our emissions targets were there. And I did notice one thing in the budget where they're eliminating the greenwashing provision in the Competition Act, which would have reversed the onus and made people who claim that their product or service is good for the environment have to prove that instead of the other way around, namely oil and gas companies who run ads saying that clean natural gas or that kind of thing. That's taken out in this budget, which is definitely a regressive anti-climate move.
Can you just explain very quickly how the party of unions, the Progressive Party, could in any scenario vote for a budget that includes 40,000 job cuts and nearly 60 billion in public spending cuts? Can you just explain how in any scenario you could support a budget that has those two things?
Well, that's way too broad of a question. That is obviously a very, very significant factor to us. I do note that those jobs are intended to be cut largely through attrition and retirement, 40,000 over 3 years. We think it's the wrong way to go, though. And that's a very important factor to us. On the other hand, the infrastructure spending, may create tens of thousands of unionized jobs as well. So we're going to have to balance these things out. We're going to have to study the budget. And, this is not an NDP budget. Okay? This is a Liberal budget. And this is what you get when you elect a Liberal government, is you get cuts to services and you get sacrifices that are to be made by working people, while the richest people in this country are left scot-free. And that's not an approach that we support.
You talked about being pragmatic. For you personally, how does this budget compare to your expectations going in? Did it exceed your expectations? Did it fall short?
It's too early to tell. I mean, I've come out of lockup an hour ago. It's funny, every time I say this budget's as thick as a phone book, I see half the people saying, what's a phone book? And I realize how old I am. But it really is a complex document with a lot of moving parts to it. So I haven't formed an expectation yet. That's something I want to do with our caucus tonight and tomorrow, and with Canadians in the days to follow, and we'll have an answer shortly.
We're hearing some Conservative MPs might join the Liberal caucus. Chris D'Entremont is one of them, possibly. What message does that send, and would it be appropriate as a way to try to get a majority for the Carney government?
Well, it sends a message that not all's well in the Conservative Party, I think. It shows that there are some cracks, I think, opening. I mean, I thought that Mr. Poilievre's comments a few weeks ago about calling the RCMP leadership despicable and actually inferring that his political opponents should be jailed were totally inappropriate and frankly channeled Donald Trump, who has weaponized the judiciary and police forces of the United States against his political opponents. Totally inappropriate. So it doesn't surprise me that that has caused problems among some people in his caucus. And but I'll leave that to him to work out.
Are you worried for your caucus? And your MPs can maybe cross the floor?
I have nothing but the strongest admiration and faith for everyone in my caucus. So thanks very much, everyone.
Bonjour tout le monde. Journée de budget.
Hello, budget day today. Hello. Welcome.
Leader of the Green Party of Canada, Elizabeth May. I'm very, very happy to be joined by Mike Morris, former Member of Parliament for Kitchener Centre and future Member of Parliament for Kitchener Centre. But we don't want an election right away. Nous avons lu le budget de 2010.
Read the 2025 budget. I'm very disappointed because I did have hope that there would be better than this. The Prime Minister told us that Canadians have to make sacrifices. But in this budget, there are winners and losers.
We identified as we read it, this budget is not about even sacrifices across our country. They're generational sacrifices. My grandchildren lose. This government has decided not even to mention our legally binding Paris targets and has jettisoned most climate programs, including the oil and gas cap. The climate competitiveness strategy, so-called, will create large winners in the corporate sector and create more subsidies for fossil fuels. We cut assistance to the poorest of the poor in the developing world. We do have some good things which we identify in our press release, but let me turn it over to Mike for his comments.
Thank you, Elizabeth. As you heard from Elizabeth, in this budget, there are sacrifices, as the Prime Minister made clear there would be. But those sacrifices are not evenly felt. There are $56 billion in cuts to public services that folks in my community and Canadians across the country rely on. Programs like the Greener Homes program that helps folks to retrofit their homes and save money on their energy bills. Cuts to a dedicated public transit fund. Cuts to planned expansions of pharmacare. What we don't see is the other option of how we could fund generational investments. We don't see new taxes on the billionaire class. We don't see fossil fuel companies who continue to make off like bandits. $30 billion in subsidies they got last year, they're getting a bit more in this budget again. And for that, we are disappointed. We're going to continue to call for more and better.
We certainly, I want to make it clear that we, and I, am specifically asking the Prime Minister to think about the fact that he's not the CEO of a company called Canada. He's the Prime Minister of this country with a minority government. Now is the time to reach out to those of us in opposition parties who could vote for the budget if in negotiations over the next few days we see changes. That's a possibility. It's a real possibility. The vote will be very tight. When we crunch the numbers, it's too close for comfort. And this is the time for a prime minister, and I really ask him personally to meet, to sit down and talk and find the changes that could be made to where we could cast our one vote in favor of the budget. But that moment is not now. Ce n'est pas possible pour se bouger actuellement.
We can't vote in favor of the budget as it stands now, but perhaps if after negotiations it will be possible to vote for it. But it's up to the Prime Minister to decide that. What would it take for you to vote in favor of the budget? Well, what we need is programs for the poor, programs for the middle class, programs to reduce energy costs, as Mike has said, through the Greener Homes program. That's now over. It's gone. There are no programs in the budget to reduce energy costs. The budget talks about the importance of projects of national importance, east, west, north, south, but it's not a program with a clear approach.
Electricity grid as a good thing, but there's no programming in this budget to make it happen. You have to bring the provinces together. There's nothing in this budget for nature. The entire commitment from Montreal Kunming to 30 by 30 isn't mentioned. So le COP 15
So it was at COP15 in Montreal where we took a decision to protect nature. It was a great success for Canada as host with China, but in this budget it's not even mentioned. There's not one single mention of fish, salmon, or the rights of indigenous peoples. There's no mention of programs such as the program, indigenous programs to protect nature.
It's a long list of good things. The funding for CBC is good to see. It's good to see a program that's going to put money in the hands of municipal governments for local infrastructure. But to eliminate the public transit program for urban areas is really a shock.
Vous avez rencontré M. Carney il y a quelques semaines.
Met Mr. Carney a couple of weeks ago. Did you get the impression that he wasn't listening to you? Well, we didn't really have a discussion. It was a bit strange, really. The reality is that we met on the 2nd of October, and we talked about the budget, but he didn't ask me even once what I wanted to see in the budget to win my vote. Nothing of that. We had a high-level conversation. We talked about the future of Canada, but he never asked me specifically what I wanted. He never asked how we could make Canada wealthier and greener. This isn't a conversation we had. Perhaps we'll have it now. Are you concerned that Mr. Chris d'Entremont might be considering crossing the floor from the Conservatives to join the Liberals? Do you think that other Conservatives might be thinking about this as well? Do you feel that this minority government might become a majority government? I had no idea that there were Conservatives thinking about crossing the floor to the Liberals, but Chris d'Entremont is something that I have a lot of respect for. As a member of the Nova Scotia government, he was a progressive conservative, the former environment minister in the Nova Scotia government. He did some good things for the environment in that position. He should be joining the Greens if he's concerned about the environment. This budget really is closer to Mr. Poilievre's policies and the Conservative policies than the Liberal Party. I wouldn't be surprised to see this same budget tabled by Mr. Poilievre. There's not much difference between the two. There's a change in what the idea of the Liberal Party is. It used to be different. It's now a party that's in favour of bigger subsidies for big oil and gas. It's now in favour of reducing climate change protection measures as well.
English succinctly, if you would, please.
What, beg your pardon?
What you were just saying in French, we need that succinctly on Chris d'Entremont.
Succinctly, Chris d'Entremont served the Nova Scotia government as a progressive conservative. He was Minister of Environment in Nova Scotia and made some very good decisions. I have a lot of respect for him. I'd like him to join the Green Party if he's going to cross the floor.
As it stands right now, would you vote no on the budget?
Absolutely. There's no way that we can, as Greens, vote yes on this budget. But I want to emphasize there are several days in which this budget can be negotiated and amended before it goes to a vote. And that's something that doesn't get discussed much. I am surprised that Mr. Carney has not reached out, or that more of his ministers haven't reached out to say, what would it take to get Greens to vote for this budget? In the same way I hear from friends in the New Democratic Party, they haven't felt that there's been an effort to get us on side early on. So we are now in a position where I think every vote's going to matter, every vote's going to count, and I would invite the Prime Minister, and I've sent this message through the officials who were with us in the lockup, please let them know I'd like to talk, because there's some things that could be done that would make it possible for us to vote for this budget. Nous sommes grand groupe avec mon cabinet fantôme.
We're a big group with Mike and the shadow cabinet, with the finance and small business critic. We all have the same reaction. It's just incredible.
What do you think? We kept going back over it, reading sections and saying, c'est pas possible de voter en faveur de ce budget.
It's not possible for us to vote in favor of this budget in its current state.
Second.
Yes.
But you're saying that that didn't feel like a serious attempt at figuring out what you want to see in the budget?
Well, he never asked. And he didn't say, would you vote for our budget if it had these things in it? And I did suggest things that would make a real difference to Greens, to see us, for instance, go after wealth tax, to see an increase in government revenues. I mean, the deficit's quite large. For us, that's not a red line issue. You have to invest. There's investments here, for instance, in high-speed rail. Those are good. But there's not enough investment in a greener Canada. There's a very large deficit, and we pointed him to ways that you could increase the available revenue, ideas that we'd already had costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office, not included. But the deep cuts in public services, deep cuts that will be felt in pain for years, and a lot of the time, the language in this budget is very management consultant language. We're going to modernize this and recalibrate that. And you start reading it and thinking, okay, so that's getting cut, that's gone. It's not a budget we can vote for. I know I'm talking too much. Mike, you want to throw in some more thoughts?
Matthew, to your question, by the time the Prime Minister reached out to Elizabeth, he'd already made clear it was an austerity budget full of sacrifices. And then when we read it today, it was clear that who those sacrifices were for and who they weren't for. We were clear in calling out the need for wealth tax in this country. Instead, we see $56 billion of cuts to public services that folks in our communities rely on. And I think that leads to the conclusion that Elizabeth shared.
And I was also shocked to see cuts in one of the things I stressed to the Prime Minister was with Donald Trump withdrawing from the world and the U.S. withdrawing and killing the USAID program. In a time when the world is in turmoil, I believe the world needs more Canada. I think we should step up and do more in peacekeeping and more in helping for world health issues where the U.S. government's decision-making is going to cause an increase in HIV/AIDS, an increase in polio, an increase in deaths from malaria. We could stand up and start filling that space, and instead we're retreating. We're putting less money into overseas development assistance and more money into our military, which we support up to a point. But this is the question of why would we throw, in the same week the Prime Minister said we were going to have to make sacrifices, they announced a $2 billion gift to the Darlington project, which they've already put on the fast-track C5 list. You need to know that that project, while owned by OPG, the companies that will benefit are General Electric and Hitachi and Kiewit Engineering from the United States and some Canadian engineering, of course, our old friends Atkins Realis, formerly known as SNC-Lavalin, and Aiken. But this is for a project that may never generate a single kilowatt of electricity because it's an experimental prototype that We don't have a single operating small modular reactor anywhere in any democracy in the world generating electricity. And yet to casually throw $2 billion to it when they've just said Canadians will have to sacrifice? Why do young Canadians have to sacrifice, and why does the next generation have to bear the brunt of our government today deciding in 2025 that our oil and gas cap is off, that we're not even going to mention that we're legally bound under the Paris Agreement to reduce emissions? It's not even mentioned in this budget.
What do you think of the Liberals actively courting Conservatives to cross the aisle?
Well, they don't have enough votes.
That's to jump on that, considering that they're doing that to cross the aisle and everything you've described about their approach to negotiations, I'll put in air quotes, towards it. Do you have any confidence that Prime Minister Carney and the Liberals have any interest in negotiating with any of the other parties if they don't have the votes, that they're willing to take it or leave it and sort of walk away if you
Well,
guys...
I think put that question to Prime Minister Carney and to Finance Minister Champagne. We try to be constructive as Greens. We don't want to take partisan shots. That's why you can tell how I'm speaking about Chris D'Antoine. Most of the people in that House are friends of mine. I don't agree with many of them on policy choices, but we're open to having a conversation. It's too important to stick to our legally binding commitments than just to say, oh, okay, it became inconvenient to have a home energy retrofit program that worked extremely well, so well that it was oversubscribed. It's really effective in reducing greenhouse gases, putting people to work in installing the insulation and the things that you do that save money and make sense and reduce carbon are abundant. It's still the low-hanging fruit. And we're trampling over the low-hanging fruit to chase pipe dreams of new technologies that are super expensive and take a very long time to produce nothing. C'est tout. Merci.
Monsieur le Ministre, c'est une...
Minister, it's a historic day today. It's a new era for our country as well. A country with confidence, with an ambitious budget, a positive budget, a budget of investment.
In many ways, a historic day. We're starting a new era. We know the world's changed. Our strategy has to change with it. And we choose Canada. We choose to advance. We choose to invest. Historic investment, generational investment, everywhere from new partners abroad right down to new infrastructure at the local community, and of course millions of homes across this country. Congratulations. Merci beaucoup.
Well, thank you, Prime Minister. As the Prime Minister said, this is an investment budget. This is a generational shift. This is not just an ordinary transition. We're going to build this country like never before. We're going to protect our sovereignty. We're going to empower Canadians on the shop floor, in the fields, in their homes. This is really a generational moment. So thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you for your vision, because that budget really will give a roadmap to this country to attract more investment, to be more prosperous, more confident. So, merci, Monsieur le Premier Ministre. C'est un plaisir.
Thank you, Prime Minister. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to do this. Today is a historic turning point for the country. This is an investment budget, a generational investment budget, as the Prime Minister has just said, in our infrastructure, in defence, in productivity, competitiveness of the country as well, and also in affordable homes. So I'm very, very pleased to be able to put forward this plan to Canadians. Everyone will find something in this budget, Prime Minister. Yes, they will. There's about 20 minutes before we hear from you live.
Listen, it's a crucial time for the country, and I think it's not just that, as you just said, all Canadians will see themselves in the budget because it will help them all. But in many respects, and at its core, the budget reflects Canadians. Because the thing that struck me, I think struck you, as we went across the country from early in the year, Canadians wanted to come together, want to take control of our futures. That's what this does. This gives us control of our future. We're going to build together. We're going to build Canada strong, and we're starting right now.
Totally.
Merci beaucoup.
So we're ready. Merci tout le monde. Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre.
budgets?
Absolument.
Merci.
Nous sommes fiers.
Thank you, James.
Oh, yeah.
On a trois.
There are 3 copies here.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 83-1, I would like to table in both official languages the budget documents for 2025, including the notice of Ways and Means motion. The details of the measures are contained in these documents. Pursuant to Standing Order 83-2, I am requesting that an order of the day be designated for consideration of these motions, Mr. Speaker. And with that, I will give that to the clerk. Here. Monsieur le Président, honorable député de cette...
Mr. Speaker, honorable members of this House, Canadians. The budget I present today comes at a time of profound change, a time to build.
The budget I present today comes at a time of profound change, a time to build. The world is undergoing a series of fundamental shifts at a speed, scale, and scope not seen since the fall of the Berlin Wall. The rules-based international order and the trading system that powered Canada's prosperity for decades are being reshaped, threatening our sovereignty, our prosperity, and our values. Long-standing supply chains and trade relationships that once ensured stable growth in this country from coast to coast to coast, and good job across our nation, and affordable products are being disrupted. Monsieur le Président, l'impact est...
Mr. Speaker, the impact is profound, hurting Canadian companies, affecting workers, disrupting supply chains, and causing uncertainty that holds back investment.
En fait, le niveau...
In fact, the level of uncertainty is higher than what we have seen and felt for generations. It is not a transition. Rather, it is a true generational shift. The challenges are great, but the opportunities for Canada are even greater.
Mr. Speaker, but the opportunities for Canada are even greater. Et c'est dans cet esprit que...
And in this spirit, today, I present to you Budget 2025. As a former finance minister, also from Shawinigan, so eloquently put it.
Humility, but also with confidence, Mr. Speaker. This is Canada. This budget must be generational in its ambition and serve to shape our economy and our nation's future. Il n'y a pas de place pour le retrait.
There is no place for withdrawal, ambiguity, or even standing still. Only for bold and swift action.
Bold and swift action is what is needed. To weather the storm of uncertainty, we will not lower ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Quite the opposite. We will raise them to catch the winds of economic change because we believe in Canada. Nous explorerons de...
We will explore new markets and sell more of the best of what Canada has to offer.
We will build here at home stronger industries, nation-building infrastructures, and millions of more homes for Canadians. We will protect what matters most, our people, our communities, and our sovereignty. And we will empower Canadians by making life more affordable, creating new career opportunities, and ensuring every generation can get ahead. This is how we win. This is how we keep winning, Mr. Speaker.
When people look back on this budget, they will be able to judge the importance of the choices that we have made. Greater autonomy is and continues to be the best approach to achieve real resilience. It is in this spirit that, through Budget 2025, we are building Canada strong. Mr. Speaker, around the world, tariffs have increased. Growth is slowing, and trade relationships are being tested.